We'll talk about our Ashanti stool here. So, there's a lot going on in this picture. And the golden stool is significant. So, the Ashanti as a people, we're talking about West Africa. So, just up the road from Nigeria to the west. And this has been known as the Gold Coast. All right, a lot of gold here, and gold certainly impacts the visual arts. This was the Ashanti Confederacy was centralized in the 17th century. Matter of fact, 1680 by a chief called Osei Tutu, and that's where we get the golden stool from. At this time, a lot of the local peoples were fighting and were vying for power and authority. And when everyone's fighting, everyone's weak. And Osei Tutu says, this isn't good. We need to come up with a solution. And so his advisor and priest, a guy by the name of Akamfe Anyoche, called down from the heavens. And out of the heavens descended this golden stool. And this stool, this thing from the beyond, represented the soul of the Ashanti people. And it was a uniting element that brought everyone together and kind of established Osei Tutu's authority. It's called the Sika kofi. It's also in English, you can call it the Golden Stool born on Friday. No joke, that's what its name is. And because of that day when it descended, day of the week, Friday is very significant. If you think about textile weavers of the Ashanti who are making that beautiful kente cloth, they don't weave on Fridays. All right, so there's a nice link between this. So what we're looking at here is our golden stool and the Asantehene, the king of the Asante Confederacy today. All right, and we have this wonderful balance between kind of spiritual authority, the soul of the kingdom, and human authority there. And all this other stuff, all the gold accoutrements that you see there are property of the stool, okay? It's state-owned art. And all of those objects are infused with wonderful, wonderful proverbs. With the Asante, we have this wonderful thing called the verbal-visual nexus, where all of the objects have these spectacular proverbs that give vitality to any given situation. All right? Yeah. So on the picture, it's to the right of him on the chair, right? And look at that. The stool is sitting on a chair, right? No. He's allowed to kind of lean up against it. No one sits on the golden stool. And in fact, during the colonial era, a British authority said that he wanted to sit on the stool, of course. And the high-ranking officials in the Confederacy took the stool away and they hid it. And it was actually lost for several decades. It was unearthed, I think, in the 1920s by some guys doing construction. And during that process, it got damaged. So what you're seeing here is the golden stool that was kind of reconstructed from the pieces that were unearthed during that process there. It's sitting on a chair, and it's sitting on a European chair. And that European chair is sitting on a mat of elephant skin. Authority over the natural world, over the human realm, right? It's the ultimate expression. There's the stool itself, and we have these golden figures of slain enemies. We have bells that are calling everyone's attention that the golden stool is coming here. And with Ashanti stools, other than this one, which is its own, basically you have a rectangular base. The middle is what is always different. This is where you get the variety. And then the top is this kind of nice saddle shape. That's your canon for Ashanti stools. And anyone can have a stool. Everyone has stools.
So the golden stool is on its side?
Yep. Stools, that's a great thing that you bring up. So I I have friends who are from Ghana and whose father is installed, meaning he has a political position. And he grew up having stools. And if you're not sitting on a stool, you put it on its side. Because if it's sitting up, any kind of spiritual entity can come and sit on that stool. And the stool, just like the golden stool, is the soul of the Asante kingdom, people. Your own personal stool can become a container for your soul after you pass on. You're sitting on this thing day after day after day after day. It's like a sponge. It's soaking up your essence. And the most important individuals, when they die, will have their stool consecrated, blackened. You rub it with coal and with egg and with animal fat and sometimes blood, and it's kept in a special room called a stool room. It's a shrine, and it becomes an object of communication. So these are powerful things and everyday things all together. There's our golden stool again.
Sorry, can you just show me what was the top and what was the bottom on that last slide?
Of the golden stool?
The other ones on the right.
Okay. Yeah, so this is where you're sitting at. It's always like a saddle.
Okay.
And the base is always this rectangle. The middle varies from person to person, and there are certain designs that are limited to certain individuals.
Okay.
Like the king, for example, or a particular king will have a particular specific design that only he can use for his stool. All right. The golden stool is always on its side. No one ever sits on the golden stool. All right. We got a lot of spectacular regalia that goes along with it that we unfortunately don't have a lot of time to talk about, but to give you an idea of the sort of spectacular display, it's about wealth and it's about power. It's the Gold Coast, and when the king, the Asantehene, appears, he's laden with all of this stuff. And each one of those, if we were to break them down, is communicating something. European style, it's based off of 17th century Portuguese chairs. State swords there that have a political function. They aren't used for cutting people, they're ornamental. They're used for oaths. And each of the swords have an ornament attached to it. And these ornaments each have a saying that go with them that gives rise to a particular occasion. If you're going to see the Asantehene and you've got yourself in the hot water and his sword bearer has this ornament on there, you're in trouble because the proverb that goes with that says, to kill a night bird you have bad luck, but if you let a night bird go you lose good fortune. Do we have a phrase like that in America? Right? So you can read each of these and it's telling you something when you come in there. Absolutely spectacular. Linguists, the same thing. The Ochiame carry these staffs and accompany the Asantehene, the king, and you speak through them to communicate with the Asantehene because his words are powerful and they're heavy and they need to be dampered. And the finials of their staff, the same thing. A bird is small, but you can't eat it all because you can't swallow the feathers. You've bitten off more than you can chew. You're in big trouble. Spectacular stuff. So in the bibliography, I put a couple sources on Asante arts that will really break down all of the royal regalia. But because the image set kind of focuses on the stool, we'll kind of go with that for today for the sake of time.
And to be clear, no one ever sat on it. It was always
Nope.
perceived to be its own being.
Yep.
almost.
Yep, it holds the soul of the nation.
Okay.
Yeah.